The school industrial complex is made for black women. There have been several studies on this that talk about how young black boys are automatically labeled as behavior problems.
Yep.
They were labeled as educable mentally retarded back when Les Brown was in school, and that's
ADD.
going all the way back to the 50s. Then you sit up there and you put them in the programs, then you double down on their reading scores so that you know how many prisons to build. Everything is set up to make sure you rise and think that you are now above us, as opposed to realizing that there's a conspiracy to separate you from me.
I'm just going to say this. Black men are tired. And Dave Anderson is no different. He was on the podcast on the Big Facts Network. He is tired of people like Roland Martin and D.L. Hughley and their politics. I've actually mentioned them in the past few weeks in recent episodes. He also wants to talk about, I think, everything that really impacts us as black men. He had a lot to get off his chest, but he was on fire in this one. I don't know what happened. I used to listen to his podcast a long time ago. He's also known as the business bully. Dave Anderson drops bombs on Roland Martin, D.L. Hughley, and the black dating and mating complex infrastructure. He got heated.
He has an amazing media platform. It's about pushing the needle and using your brain. Now, you spoke also about Roland Martin.
I did.
And I got a quote. You called Roland Martin, you said he is cosplaying in kente cloth.
Yeah, cosplaying in kente cloth, but they all do. Nancy Pelosi cosplayed in kente
Now,
cloth.
for Mr. Martin, as somebody who, you keep it real, what would you like to see Mr. Martin do more of for the black community?
So he sat up there and he kept talking about, well, the Congressional Black Caucus, go to my iPad. And then what have we gotten? We gotten a YouTube channel because he can't keep a job in mainstream broadcasting. Ooh. And then he and moans all the time about how he's not getting enough money, but he got $300,000 from Kamala Harris's campaign and still couldn't help her deliver black community. What has he...
Yikes. That is the truth. I cannot say he lied. I was asking myself the same thing during the election. I was like, why they going to Roland Martin? He ain't going to be able to get nobody any type of black support. Like, this is the wrong person to go to. And yeah, every week he's talking about raising money, and I'm like, haven't you made enough money? You got an app, you did all this, now you can't get no ad dollars from McDonald's, so you pissed off. Like, at a certain point, enough is enough, man. Relax.
What has he done significantly other than complain and bitch? And then when he says something about people who disagree with him, he calls them dumbasses.
Right.
And then when people who are masculine come and confront him, he hides behind black women and runs and calls for security.
Give me 1 second. No, ain't no 1 second. I gave you enough pictures. I gave you enough pictures. Now, yesterday, you tweeted about me. You tweeted, you called me dumb. You called me dumb.
Remember that?
He won't have a conversation to anybody with any type of level of intelligence worth respecting, and yet and still, he's dancing for Hillary Clinton, he danced for Obama, he's dancing for Kamala, he's dancing for whoever he wants, and that's the thing. He's an entertainer. He's not a politician, and he hasn't been a journalist for 15 years. What did Malcolm X say? Do not listen to entertainers, comedians, and trumpet players. What are we doing? Listening to entertainers, comedians, and trumpet players. D.L. Hughley got a GED, and this is who you listen to? D.L. Hughley is a multi-millionaire, but he's mad every single day. How many D.L. Hughley scholars? Anybody got the D.L. Hughley scholarship?
Whoa.
Anybody got the D.L. Hughley real estate supplementary program?
Yeah, D.L. Hughley is on the news entirely too much. I don't know why D.L. Hughley has a political opinion and is being platformed in this way. We do not need to hear anything else about what you're talking about, sir. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And a lot of the stuff, a lot of the takes he's off on. I just wish he relaxed. And him and Don Lemon, D.L. Hughley and Don Lemon are doing tour dates now. Did you know? I don't know if they're touring, but they definitely did a show in New York City. Everything but to do stand-up, man. Get back up there, entertainer, and entertain.
D.L. Hughley is a multi-millionaire, but he's mad every single day. How many D.L. Hughley scholars? Anybody got the D.L. Hughley scholarship?
Right.
Anybody got the D.L. Hughley real estate supplementary program?
Fool.
So why is he so mad? Why is he yelling and screaming all the time?
I feel like celebrities feel like that just because they have a name, they can go into like the podcast realm, and just because you have the following, you feel like you have the credentials and the background to go into that atmosphere.
But you don't.
That's just my thoughts.
I mean, that's a feeling. That doesn't make it a fact. You are entitled to your own feelings, but it don't mean it's a fact. Like, my child plays Grand Theft Auto, but she's 10 years old with autism. I'm not going to give her the keys to my truck because that would be irresponsible and stupid. And they would probably jail me for that. Sometimes a microphone in the wrong hands is a weapon. And like I said, you will know the tree from the fruit that it bears. Show me the fruit, and then we can have a conversation.
Talk to us about the YN apocalypse.
So, again, this is another thing that Gen X and the baby boomers did, which was not pay attention to the importance of rearing your child. When you're getting paid by daddy government because daddy government did the baby face on you, I'll pay your rent, I'll buy your clothes, I'll give you housing too, just don't have a man in the house.
And we see how that's working out now because the food stamps have been canceled as far as I heard.
When daddy is out of the equation because you forced him out, you get YNs. For every action, this is science. Y'all learned this in 9th grade. In every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So now you got these kids out here in Pooh Shiesty masks because you have not taught them that they can do something with their hands. You told them to go to college, and I'm sorry, everybody ain't a scholar. My grandfather put 7 kids through college with a 6th grade education just working with his hands.
Yep.
We get off of that because that's not sexy enough. Then you get this propaganda of this person's got to be a high-value man. He got to have 6, 7 figures for you to even look his way. He got to take you on a $300 meal date. The first date, don't know your middle name, your last name, your blood type, or your STD panel. But you want all these things for him. So at the end of the day, what's happened is these YNs are out here robbing you because you did not give them any skills to focus on. You did not give them anything to do. You did not give them any sense of self. You did not build up their self-esteem, and you did not hug your boys. You let your boys run and let the streets raise them, and now you're mad that it's coming home to roost. You did that.
And the thing is, it's been proven that if you gave these young men something to do, if you gave them gainful employment, they would not be out in the streets knocking people in the head. Let me tell you, they would not be scamming. They would not be selling drugs. There is an equal correlation to making a living that goes into these children just being out in the streets, not having anything to do, not having a community center to go to, not having sports to play. Not only that, they're starting to, as we've seen in the Drake video, if you look back at my Drake video, we're starting to see a lot of young men that aren't developing normal skills of honor because they're not playing sports or they're not doing something extracurricular that actually instills that in them. They're not having coaches in their life to tell them to get up off the ground, dust yourself off, and do it again. They're just throwing up their hands. And when somebody doesn't want to help them, they get frustrated. They start crying and then resorting to something that is going to lead them to prison. That's what's really happening out here.
You did that.
So how do we fix this situation?
First of all, stay out of father's business.
Ooh.
Let me give you an example. I have 2 daughters. I know nothing about menstruation. I watch my children come into the world, but I don't know what it is to have the pain of childbirth. I stay in my lane. Protect, provide, back up my wife. If I had sons, my wife would fall back because it is my job, like it was my father's job and his father's job before him, to raise his son into a man. We have taught our children, we have taught society, and we put a battery in our women's back by telling them that masculinity is toxic, that submission is wrong. I got to submit to God. I got to submit to the IRS. You submit to your white-ass boss every single day. But yet and still, you won't submit to your husbands. But then you get on these podcasts, you get on these television shows, you watch these reality shows that are scripted, and you sit up there and you say, I want a man who's a provider. No. Your husband is supposed to be a provider. We out of whack. Iyanla Van Zant told y'all was out of order, and nobody wanted to hear it.
So maybe I feel like...
Once again, we're going to take the tally. Yesterday, we were talking about Felicia Rashad came out and said something, and they spit in her face. When are we going to catch this trend? When are we going to realize that these people are coming to you in love, and they're trying to tell you something, ladies, and you're not listening to them? Iyanla Van Zant came out and said that you are out of order. She said that you are out of order. And y'all didn't want to hear it, and y'all ostracized her. Well, I think everything's coming to a head right about now.
And Zant told y'all was out of order and nobody wanted to hear it.
So maybe I feel like with the submission thing, I feel like, because that's like a hot topic on the podcast world with submission, but we keep telling black women to submit to men that don't have their life together.
Who said that?
How can you submit? How can you submit to a man who doesn't submit to God?
You gotta pick one that does have his life together.
I understand that.
You are like in the rare percentage.
I get that.
You must know that there are a lot of
Fellas, put in the comments how rare you are. A black man with his life together that can pay his bills, that can meet his necessities. I want y'all to show an example of how wrong what this woman is saying. She thinks we don't exist because they only have blinders on for the dude with the dreads or the dude that's a millionaire, that's already made, that's already married, the dude the married man that she's dealing with. She can't see the regular working man out there. It's a travesty how many men are being looked over at this moment, and we're getting the reputation of all men do this and all men do that, and there's not that many of that, and there's so many in jail. Have you looked at the numbers recently? A lot of that stuff is false. And we're trying to have a conversation, but half of the population has all these narratives against us that are untrue and unfounded. Meanwhile, you got some people out here saying they don't want a man to make $70,000 a year. Last time I checked, your 70 plus his 70 makes 140. Then you're in a good position, huh? You can raise a family on that, huh? But no, that's frowned upon. Going to the Cheesecake Factory is frowned upon. Going out for dinner. Sukihana went to Longhorn Steakhouse. It was only $90. That's frowned upon. This is the problem. This is the core of the problem. And until you address that, until you start addressing that in other women out there, your friends and your family, nothing is going to change.
Everybody's not like you.
I understand that.
You are like in the rare percentage.
I get that.
You must know that there are a lot of black men who don't move like you, who are not successful, who don't want to go to school, who don't want to do anything with their life, who don't have any finances, who don't have any ambition, who have nothing to offer but some dick.
Okay.
So how can you keep telling?
And mind you, these are the men that she's interacting with. You shouldn't associate yourself with those types, ma'am. That's all I'm saying.
To offer but some dick.
Okay.
So how can you keep telling? And
yes.
let's talk about it.
Clap it
because
up.
let's talk about it. Black women are in record numbers going to college. We're opening degrees. We're getting accolades. We're running nonprofits. There's a large portion of black women who are educating themselves and taking their lives to the next level while the black men are not reaching those goals. They're not meeting us on those levels.
Black women are the largest group of entrepreneurs. They also have more degrees. There are more black women in the C-suite. And to quote Dr. Umar Johnson, you don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
It's very suspicious.
You don't find that suspicious?
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Black women also have the majority and the highest rate of student loan debt, which means your debt to income ratio is shot. Problem number one. Problem number two is you spend all that time getting these things on you and not getting any learning in you. Having more degrees than a thermometer does not mean that you understand the temperature of our people.
Woo!
On top of...
Hold on now. Having more degrees than a thermometer. Wow.
Having more degrees than a thermometer does not mean that you understand the temperature of our people. On top of that, I don't need a degree to tell you I'm a man. Most of my degrees are sitting in...
You see her fanning herself? She getting a little hot up there. Is he over there cooking? Over there cooking in the throne. I don't know where these chairs came from. That's crazy.
On top of that, I don't need a degree to tell you I'm a man. Most of my degrees are sitting in the drawer and the rest of them are at my mama's house in Arizona. I ain't seen them. It don't matter. Everything I learned in college was about happening outside of the classroom.
But you went to college, though.
Hold on.
You went to college, though.
I went to college to
Okay.
please my mother. I had a record deal. I was singing backgrounds for Teddy Pendergrass. Let's tell the whole story, not just the parts you like. And
But you
most
still
of us,
went to college.
again, most of us, black men specifically, go to college out of pressure from their mamas and their grandmamas, not because it's something to do to better themselves. The school industrial complex is made for black women. There have been several studies on this that talk about how young black boys are automatically labeled as behavior problems.
Yep.
They were labeled as educable mentally retarded back when Les Brown was in school, and that's
ADD.
going all the way back to the 50s. Then you sit up there and you put them in the programs, then you double down on their reading scores so that you know how many prisons to build. Everything is set up to make sure you rise and think that you are now above us, as opposed to realizing that there's a conspiracy to separate you from me.
So how do we fix it is what.
Hold up. You can't skip over that point, man. You can't skip over that point. You see, that's what people do in an argument. They try to skip over the point and not, after it lands, not taking in the information in what's said. That's listening to respond and not listening to understand. Like, he just made a point right there. So you're telling me that as educated as black women are, they in turn turn their nose down on the black men that aren't educated and say that they're not qualified and they don't make enough money and they don't do this. And that in turn does what? It ruins the community. And you're saying that you went to school and you're so educated. Why can't you see that? Why can't you see the chess game as the pieces are being moved? Don't even get me started, man.
First of all, you sat up there and gave me a 30-minute dissertation on how great black women were doing, but the second
I support my black women, that's all.
I support black women.
I support black men,
Here's
too,
the
though.
thing. The majority of my clients, the majority of my executive staff, my man Ricardo Cordial, who's been a client of mine for 5 years, he will tell you the majority of the people in my executive team are black women. I have put more black women in the 1% than Nick Cannon with a bag of Viagra. So this is not about supporting black women.
Okay.
There's a woman named Anissa Getna who had a nursing business.
And I want y'all to hear that because you're always thinking, oh, this man is here. He's bashing black women. He hates black women. Does he? When he literally put black women in business and continues to employ them. That's what I'm saying. I think you all have the wrong read on this. The people that are talking like this are the people that actually love you, are the people that are actually looking to help you, but you are resistant to it. You've been resistant to it over and over and over again because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Those people that don't say, they don't take the time to say anything. They're like, oh, just let them off themselves over there by themselves. They'll take care of themselves. Don't worry about that. Are the ones that don't care, or the ones that are like, I tell you everything. Oh, everything you doing is amazing. That's just magic, black girl magic. Those are the ones that are not in your best interest because look at the results. You can see the results in the numbers of unmarried black women. But yet, you don't want to hear me. You don't want to hear Dave. You don't want to hear Kevin Samuels. This is real. But you want to listen to Roland Martin. Go to my iPad.
Okay.
There's a woman named Anissa Getna who had a nursing business and she had a credit business, and she went and bought her husband. By the time I was done with her, she went and bought her husband a car dealership, then moved to South Africa. She got an AT&T grant. So when it comes to supporting black women, I don't talk about it, I be about it. So that's not the issue. The issue is we need to fix it by divorcing ourselves from their agenda, which is educate our women, make them feel so high up because they got the C-suite positions, they got the degrees, they got the jobs that they put them in, while they disqualify us underqualify us, tell us we can't do anything, take all of the skilled labor out, and then when they don't take the skilled labor out, they sit there and then make it look like there's something wrong with that. Even look at the movies. There's been Tyler Perry movies where the dude is a mechanic. The least watched Tyler Perry movie is what? Daddy's Little Girls, because God forbid you see a responsible single father and a baby mama who decided that a drug dealer, a YN, is better than a dude that works hard every day, because that's not sexy enough to brag for your friends. You have to understand that this is a psychological op that is played on so many levels that nobody wants to talk about it. So the solution is we go independent, we reject our trash, we stop taking in every piece of bad bitch bullshit that we get. We start looking at the fact that we don't have one black-owned record company, but we got all these black record labels run by palm-colored people with little hats on the back of their heads telling us how we should operate, and then they sit down with Charlemagne and say, oh, well, I just gotta eat. Leor Cohen, you've eaten, bro. You created a 360 deal. Y'all don't want to do payday loans, but what the hell you think a record deal is?
Talk to me about the 360 deal now.
It's not you versus me. It's you and me, right? So here's the thing. When we were allowed to go to school before our women were, we came back and we taught our women.
Right.
We have to start realizing that we need to raise our entire community, not just our children. So if you're coming with information, instead of standing on the corner with your girls talking about, clock it, I got this many degrees, clock it. Why don't you start clocking the ability to start elevating all of us? We need think tanks that don't involve white money, non-black money, and I'm not saying we can't have allies, but we need to start circling our wagons amongst each other. We need to start circling our dollars amongst each other. The Jews do it, the Italians do it, the Chinese do it. When black people do it, they look at you like you crazy. There is no reason that FUBU should not still be hot today. Y'all rocking Ralph Lauren. There is no reason why Motown should have been sold to anybody but black hands. There's no reason why BET should have been sold to anybody but black hands. And y'all crying about the BET Hip Hop Awards. Hello, Boo Boo Cakes. BET ain't been owned by black people in 27 years.
Hallelujah, amen.
So if you want a solution, the solution is ignore the rhetoric, ignore the propaganda, and realize that I am not your competition. I am your completion. I am the one that's supposed to protect you, but the Bible says it is better for a man to live in the roof of his house than be in a house with a quarrelsome woman. Calm all that down. All that sprinkle, calm that down. And by the way, when it comes, and this is just me making sure that I'm giving you a solution, if you are so talented, so gifted, so degreed, so smart, how you let dumb niggas nut up in you and make babies?
You over here talking?
Without a ring, without any type of commitment, and then you go and say that you don't like the white man, he's oppressing you, this, that, and the third, but you go to your white boss, then you go to your daddy government, and you allow daddy government to go tax this man instead of working it out with this man, and if this man was a deadbeat, you should have known that before you shed your clothes like Country Crock and spread your legs. There's accountability on both sides.
Dave Anderson,
Spitting. Scorched earth is what it is. Man, that is ridiculous how hard he went right there. I hope y'all listening. Anyway, he was spitting, but he said it's about time. I think black men are about fed up. We're just about here. Most of us with any sense. Most of us that realize that something is wrong that's going on here. And we continue to perpetuate these cycles of dysfunctionality. Hey, he had enough time for Roland, he had enough time for DL, and he got cleaned up the whole mate selection dating marketplace and black women. I'm tired of this pissing contest that's going on online about how trifling black men are. If you can't find a good black man out here, I'm starting to think it's a you problem. It's a you problem because there's plenty of them out here. You can't continue blaming people who aren't responsible for your mistakes. That's a fact. So anyway, that was a good video. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all uploads. Make sure you sign up for the Patreon. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. Over there, we're going to discuss some other things. You're going to see some other topics out there. We're going to talk about YouTube growth. We're going to talk about anything. I'm going to take a poll of what people want to actually learn from somebody like Faucette Media. That was good. This is Faucette Media.